Okay, rain in the Middle East is normally a good thing. Obviously it's very, very dry, very arid, and especially here in the United Arab Emirates. So I'm across in Fujairah, which is on the east coast of the UAE, and last week saw 3 days of unprecedented rainfall, torrential rainfall. So much so that it actually caused devastation to the city, and it's quite well documented. So we went out last night looking at the water levels of the reservoirs. There's a reservoir system here in Fujairah. There's 3 dams, and the reservoirs are full for all intents and purposes. So what I thought I'd do today is just go and explore a little bit more. We looked in the adventure park yesterday, and the adventure park is closed at the moment. I can only assume because of the flood damage. And but we could see across to what is, it's a series of 3 reservoirs. There's Lake Fujairah, and then there's Lake Rumaila, and there's a third lower one down towards the royal palaces. So as we can't get into the adventure park, which would normally be the way probably to go and explore and have a look how full the water levels are, I'm going to go in through the back door. There's actually no trail into the mountains this way, so I'm just sort of winding my way up into the mountains up to what we call the big sign, where we'll be able to look down and get a true extent of how much water, how much rainfall is collected as a result of last week's downfall. 3 days of downfall. So yeah, let's have a look what's going on. There's a little bit of a breeze, and it's 39 degrees on the Garmin and also on the dashboard of my car, so I'll be pretty confident that that was the temperature. Yeah, so we're just going to sort of wind our way up this, what's now a valley, and yeah, so we're just going to wind our way up here towards what we call, as I said, the big sign. This is not for public to use, by the way, so don't come and replicate this trail. This really is just to show you the water. Once the adventure park is reopened, I'll show you an alternative so we can see safely the same sights that we'll be seeing today. Even up the purpose-built trails that are in the adventure park and all over the mountains now, all over the east coast in Sharjah, Corsican, Sharjah, Kalba, and Fujairah. Fujairah Adventures have created a network of trails. Now, even walking on these trails is quite difficult. Walking on the mountains themselves is extremely difficult. And as I say, 39 degrees now. I've only been going for, I'll say, 10 minutes or so. And very pleased I've got that bottle of water and emergency stuff in the bag. What I'm aiming to do here is to meet up. There's an enduro line that comes down from the big sign. We don't use it at all now, but Marco, the trail builder, he built that for us, for everybody, a long time ago now. I'm fairly sure it'd be in a state of disrepair now because it's not used. It doesn't go into the adventure park, but that's what I'm aiming to. Figure if I go straight up, I'll cross that trail sometime and then turn right on it up to the big sign. Okay, we're up on really what is the ridge of these mountains here, just to the west of Fujairah. We'll get a better view of Fujairah later in this walk, but we're getting the first view now, what is Fujairah Reservoir, and it's quite extraordinary. We walked around there yesterday, and the water level is at 7 meters in this top part. There's actually 3 dams on Lake Fujairah here, and the water level is over 7 meters. It's some way from being full here. However, there's a further 2, and maybe we'll get a better view of them later, but it looked like the furthest one, which is the southernmost one, it looks like that is lower. I presume it was pre-planned that way. I'm certainly no engineer, so I'm speaking absolutely with no authority on this subject, but looking at the video footage, that's where the water seems to be going over the top of the furthest dam, and then straight down through the main street of Fujairah, and I'll include a little bit of footage there. So none of this footage is my own, just the walking video from today. So thank you for all those people. I'm just going to chop it down to the internet. I've been here nearly 5 years now, and on 1 or 2 occasions I've seen a small amount of water just in this bottom part. There is a sluice gate here which we'll probably get a view of later, and that sluice gate I can only imagine was completely open because Rumaila reservoir, which we'll see in a second, or in a few minutes, that is completely full as well. So yeah, look at that, extraordinary. I was actually travelling at the time of these 3 days, and I'd heard about the weather on the news, and I was getting messages from friends here asking if I was okay, my wife and I if we were okay, and of course we were, because we were holed up in a nice hotel in the UK. When we flew back down across to the UAE into Dubai and then drove across the country, I say it was extraordinary. We were flabbergasted. It looked like the sea when you descend into Fujairah for the first time, where you can see the mosque in front of you. All this just looked like the sea. And the water level has receded a little bit in the last week or so. So everything that you see today, which is still extremely high, was even higher a week ago. So we're going to push up to the summit, the big sign, and I'll speak to you more then. Okay, just about at the top now, according to the Garmin. It's taken me 43 minutes. Of course, there's been a bit of filming and stopping and having a look. I never found the Enduro trail, but in the defence of Mark, it builds unbelievable trails. But that was probably 4 years ago now, and no one will have been on it since then, so I'm not surprised it's gone back to ground. Nearly at the big sign now, where I'll be able to explain a little bit more. Let's have a look at the height. Pulse has been constantly about 145. We're at 236 metres altitude above sea level, and here is the big sign. So let's go and have a look at these reservoirs we were talking about. It's very hot now. I don't even know what temperature, but certainly in the 40s. I'm going to stop, have a drink after this. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So what can we see here? Well, this is Fujairah reservoir, which I first talked about, and this is very rarely full, very rarely got anything in it, truth be told. You can see the sluice gate there. Imagine a week ago that was completely open and torrents would have been washing down the sluice into the overflow into the park. You can see the second and the third, in actual fact. You can see the second and third dam over there, and it's the third one, the furthest one. I don't know how clear it is on the camera, but yeah, that was the one where the water was going over. And even just in the 24 hours since we walked up there, the water's receded, I'm going to say, at least another metre, at least, but it's over 40 degrees in the day, so I'm not surprised. This is evaporation. The ground is pretty solid. I don't think it's absorbing much. There's not like a water table down there, and there's a cave system or anything like that. This is rock solid. These are the Hajar Mountains. We've got Masafi water, 15-20 kilometres up away, a little town called Masafi. It's lovely, and they're very famous for their water. And there's 300-metre wells up in Masafi, just to give you an idea of how far they've gone down to reach water. But that's obviously up in the mountains. Very nice Masafi water. Yeah, so it's receded significantly already. Okay, so let's have a look now at what is now Rumaila reservoir. Now again, I saw this yesterday. We went to the dam itself, and I went down to the dam front. MashaAllah, look at this. Wow. Now again, 5 years I've been here, all bar a few weeks now, that's all. It's flown by in a heartbeat. I say one of my biggest regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. Sound like Frank Sinatra, don't I? But one of my biggest regrets was not coming out here sooner. Yeah, my lifestyle in the UAE, in the United Arab Emirates, is fantastic. So let's have a look down. And that's what we were looking at yesterday. And indeed, now that's great news, because that means I don't have to go down there. That's great news. You can see the bottom reservoir has got water in it. And again, that's significantly more water in there than I've ever seen before. And they've just planted, there's a new plantation there of trees. I do know what they're for, but I've been sworn to secrecy, so I should keep that vow of secrecy. Keep that vow I made. Looking down at the adventure park, you know, I was worried. I was very worried for it, because I've seen torrents of water come down through that valley. And it looks in pretty good shape. The pump track, yeah, it certainly looks all in one piece. And the jumps area, yeah, so testimony there to the engineers, the construction team that built that. All the trails are looking pretty good. So let's hope they can get the climbing walls there. Now, I'll tell you something. There are 2 storage containers there ordinarily, and they will be completely submerged now. I hope there's nothing of importance inside those, because, yeah, completely, 100% submerged. Looking out across Fujairah, what can I make out? I can just see the minarets of the mosque. I can see Royal M Hotel. I can see the new, what's it called? I can see Novotel. I can see Fujairah Tower, the tallest building in Fujairah. I can see down to Kaaba Khor. I can see across to the Corniche, Umbrella Beach, the hospital. And also, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but this is the part of the Etihad rail. So we're really coming to the final stop, which is Fujairah. And it'll go through a series of tunnels here. And it's quite an extraordinary feat of engineering once again. Right through these tunnels, right through these mountains, excuse me. And we for sure will be riding on that railway as soon as we can. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what we're going to do, we'll go down to what we call Monkey Gully, because Reservoir Road, we saw yesterday, was completely unpassable. The bottom part where there was the bridge over, the bridge is completely gone, which I'm not in the slightest bit surprised about. In actual fact, the thing that surprised me was the bridge that was there for so long. So Reservoir Road, the majority of it is walkable, but certainly the beginning bit where you get onto it, that's not passable. But if we go down here, yeah, in actual fact, if we go down, this is called the West Face Trail. Okay, so if we go down the West Face, underneath the big sign, we'll hit the Reservoir Road, we turn left, have a look at Monkey Gully, and then, in case of getting home, I'm going to stop and have a drink as well. Okay, just had a nice drink there, some Perrier and also some biscuits, so energy levels back up there. 190 metre ascent, elevation 236. I was just thinking as well, whilst we were there, you know, why Fujairah got it so bad. I mean, I know that there was unprecedented rainfall for 3 days continuously. That's what I was told. But these Hajar Mountains, they form a barrier, they form a ridge north to south right through the UAE. And there are significantly high mountains. I mean, we've got a, I'll put this here, you can't really see, but at the top of those mountains, we've got a mountain trail up there that goes up to 786 metres to one of the peaks. And it's not the tallest. So 786 metres. And there's a whole range of mountains, and they go over 1,000 metres to the north. So this would have been the mountain runoff would have all come down here, and it would all been forced down through the valley, which is that reservoir that we saw behind. And there is sort of a wadi. Now, a wadi is a dry riverbed. There is a wadi that goes down to the coast there. And I can imagine that was an absolute, I can imagine that was like the, I don't know, Grand Canyon or something like that, the Colorado River flowing down through there. So all the runoff from all these mountains was all concertinaed, all focused into Fujairah, and then it unfortunately suffered the brunt of it all. And as we know, water is one of the most destructive forces. It's extraordinary. Interesting stuff. I wish I knew more about it. Right, I'm going to head on down what is the West Face, and I'm going to have a look at Lake Rumaila. Rumaila is the district down there. There's also, if you're from Fujairah, you may well have heard of Rumaila Farms, and they've got Jersey cows there. They make wonderful milk. I've had a tour of the facility and taken students there. Jersey cows are famous for their wonderful milk, which is 5% fat, which gives it that rich, beautiful taste. There's no way on earth we're having skimmed milk or anything like that here, or low-fat milk. This just tastes lovely. It's nicknamed Royal Milk because I do know that they supply the royal families with milk. Yeah, Rumeila Farms. Yeah, Rumeila Farms, very nice. There's a drive-through on the Corniche, right by Al Bahar Hotel, and up at Umbrella Beach. There's quite a sizable food outlet, and there's some wonderful and outside seating area right on the coast. It's got its own sort of little quayside. Yeah, if you're in Fujairah, that's the first place I recommend you go to and go and have one of their milkshakes or a bit of milk sponge or something like that. There's plenty to whet your appetite. All right, so I better concentrate now. I'm going to start the descent, and as we know, accidents happen mainly on descents, so I'm going to focus for a little bit. Okay, sun's still out, very, very hot. Just descending the west face now, looking down over Lake Rumeila. And I was just thinking as well, if you speak to anyone about the torrential rain that UAE has, and there is significant rain every year at certain times of the year, and the first thing locals or people, expats, will say is cloud seeding. And what that is, that's where there are clouds on top of the mountains or at certain altitude, and it's like a weather modification process. And what they do, they fire little bits of tiny ice up into the clouds when they meet certain conditions, and then this tiny sort of ice nuclei. Well, you can actually see Buckingham Palace now. So there, Buckingham Palace. Now Buckingham Palace down there was actually over there, and there's a big significant chain on it. So I can imagine, because this water level is much, much, much higher, and you can't even see the two storage lockers that are there, but completely submerged. Buckingham Palace was over there, and it's obviously floated there, and that's where the chain is hitting the ground for the first time, obviously as it gets shallower up towards the dam. And that's big. I mean, we made that before COVID. So Buckingham Palace now is, I'm going to say 2.5, 3 years old. Look at this. Yeah, back to cloud seeding. So what they do, they fire this ice up into the clouds, and it modifies the weather and basically makes it start to rain. And it's not really a conspiracy theory, but it's a theory in that whenever it rains now in the UAE, it's cloud seeding. But that's just not the case. Before they had that technology, it rained in the UAE. Often it is, because water is so scarce. So they do use the process of cloud seeding. But I have no idea if these 3 days of rain were a result of it. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. I wouldn't even know who to ask either. But yeah, cloud seeding. So I'm descending now. You can see, oh, you can actually see the 3 dams as well, nice and clearly, certainly visibly, whether the camera picks it up. Using the Insta360 on a 3-meter carbon selfie stick. So that's why you get this kind of drone-like footage. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I think I'll shut up and concentrate on the descent. You can see down now, I can see part of Reservoir Road. I can see where it goes down into the water, down where the bridge would have been, and the bridge is now in lots of pieces along, I suppose I'll call it the beach now, but I don't want people thinking it's a beach and come down and sunbathe and get your Havaianas on and go for a swim. I would suggest this is quite dangerous to swim in it, and I'm definitely not recommending anyone going there. And also, I'm not sure you're allowed in there. So the gate is shut. Let's carry on down. Okay, and on we go down. I absolutely love this this trail. If you climb it in the evening, you get the shade of the sun setting in the west. So it's very, very nice. Unfortunately now, which is what's getting on for, I'm going to say maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to stop and look at my watch now. Yeah, sun's right on me, and it's quite harsh. Feet are burning. These stones are hot. I wonder if you could fry an egg on them. I know this trail very, very well, as well as anybody, if not better than everybody. Let's say I was part of the small team that dug it a few years ago, and I came up here every day, more or less, for about 3 months consecutively. Oy, as if on cue. Like I say, concentrate. 95% of accidents happen in the last 5% of the day. And what that means is people are getting tired, lacking concentration, starting to think about the post-walk activities, whatever it might be, and that's what happens. Slip over, and I've cut myself quite badly once or twice here. I'll show you the scar maybe if I get a chance later. But yeah, these are harsh rocks, harsh. Completely lost my chain of thought now. We were talking about this trail here, yeah, up to the big sign. It's a wonderful trail. As soon as the park is green to go, the open signs are on the door. Come along and come and have an explore. Also, let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing and what I'm. Also, whilst we're having a chat, oh, stop it, Dave. This could be very good for YouTube. If I fall off and keep the camera running, that is guaranteed viewers. Right, talking about guaranteed viewers, what I need from you, if you're at all interested in this sort of adventurous content, and I'm going to be doing a lot of it, because I do it virtually every day anyway. So we're going to explore haunted towns, we're going to take the off-road segways to lots of different places all over the UAE. East Coast, central area, West Coast, desert, etc, etc. Look at that bird, I wonder if you can see him. Climbing, swimming, canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, scubaing, hiking, mountain biking, that's the biggest one there. We don't say elephant in the room here in the UAE, we say the camel in the room. How on earth I could leave mountain biking to the last bit. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of content coming online regularly, so please smash the like button and also subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with all these sort of latest releases as they come. Why am I talking when I'm walking in 40-degree heat up a trail that's been destroyed by water? I'll keep the camera running because there's a lovely descent in a little bit. Also in the comments, let me know your thoughts on the film. To be honest, I'm going to stop for a second. Okay. To be honest, I'm making it for me, primarily, but I think it's going to be interesting content. Let me look into my eyes. So if you want more talking, tell me so in the comments and I'll put more in the ones in the future. If you want less content and little birds singing and harping on, let me know. That's easily done. If you want some techno music, ding 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 ding, all the way through, bang bang bang, boom boom boom. I can do that for you. I don't want to do that, I'll tell you the truth. But if you want it, I'll give it to you. And the music, of course. So what else? Yeah, let me know what you think of the film, really. I'll be interested to hear your comments. That's the start of the little descent that I was mentioning. So, fuck. Balance is a wonderful thing when you've got two hands. When you're holding a 3-meter selfie stick, everything changes. And I nearly had that million views. I can hear a big lorry on the truck road. Oh, I've come the wrong way. Let's go and have a look. This is not the way for the public. This is definitely not the way for the public. As I say, there's nobody knows this trail better than me. Yeah, don't be surprised when you do follow my footsteps and you find that there is a junction and one area is closed. That's because out there that's quite it's not really dangerous, but the trouble is if something was to go wrong, you don't get any second chances there. That's not just a couple of stitches. That is significantly worse. Wow. I will bring an egg sometime soon because you can cook an egg on that. That's hot to the touch. So come on now. I'll go behind my head, and we call this outdoors for obvious reasons. Those cyclists, the very famous French alpine ascent, the pirate Marco Pantani, record holder up there. He didn't die on the climb, but he did die as a result of doing everything he could to get up that climb as quick as he could repeatedly over the years. Marco Pantani on the, he's called the Pirate. Google him, and you'll see what I mean. Italian guy, and I met him once or twice a long time ago, long time ago, obviously. And he's a lovely, I'm telling you, a lovely man. Yes, sir. R.I.P. Marco. Okay, so maybe the famous last words. All the dangerous stuff is done now. Just going to carry on down Rumela Reservoir. I'm going to get a drink at the bottom. That Perrier. Now the problem with Perrier, well, there's no problem. Just drink it whilst it's cold. And is there a better water? I'm not sure. What was I saying? That includes Masafi, I'm afraid, because Perrier is carbonated. And I call it water lemonade. Without a doubt my favourite. Lulus will attest to this. I'm saying I probably buy, how many bottles? 2 a day. Let's just hit at 14 a week. Let's say 60 a month. Yeah, 10 packets a month. 10 packs of 6 a month. That's how much I like Perrier. However, once it gets warm, it goes from the best very quickly to the worst. So put some insulation on it. Keep it cool. Do you know what the nice thing is? It's a bit like when you're on an aeroplane and you sit next to somebody very interesting and you can just talk for hours on end about all sorts. And suddenly the captain comes on the PA system and says, we're now making our final descent into such and such airport. We hope you've enjoyed this long, arduous, boring, tedious journey, but that's all we could do. And you think, hang on a sec, I didn't even know we'd taken off. I've had such a good time chatting. So you thank the person next to you, you make promises to make sure you meet up in the future. Probably going to break those promises, but it's rhetorical. Everyone feels good, and the journey flies by. A bit like walking down this mountainside. If I just chat all the time, it makes my life easier. But as I say, if you want me to shut up, there's a mute button there, and I think YouTube now plays music over films, doesn't it? Well, that's something. I do know about it, but I've never actually done it. So let me know if you put the music on, and what type of music they put on. Okay guys, so I've descended down the face and I'm now on Reservoir Road. So the adventure park is over there. And what we got behind, in fact if I put it over my shoulder you'll be able to see there, that's what we call Monkey Gully, and that leads to the tunnels. And I know the water has receded a little bit, but I'm going to hazard a guess that the water level here hasn't raised enough to go through Monkey Gully. And had the water level risen to Monkey Gully level, there's a whole irrigation channel that goes down the back, which will have a lot of water in anyway because of the runoff from the mountains that side. That's why we didn't see a lot of water in the bottom reservoir. So I would say top reservoir full, middle reservoir nearly full, not much there, and bottom reservoir with its new plantation okay. Right then, that's just about the walk done now. Going to head back towards the car. I'll turn this off now. I'm going to have a pleasant walk home. I've finished my Perrier, so I'm now waterless. Yeah, thanks for watching guys. Stay tuned, subscribe, give it a like, and I'm going to bring you lots and lots of good content. Oh. Right, for those of you looking at my backside, you're right, I did slip over in the mud. I say fortunately I didn't have the camera running at the time, but as you know, I'm all about the numbers, so I wish that camera had been running at the time. But yeah, safe to say no one saw it, but what was an absolute comedy of errors. As soon as I was in the mud at the bottom, just trying to skirt around the bottom of this this irrigation, which I'm definitely focusing on. Much as I want the numbers, I don't want to fall off this one. Yeah, stood up, thought that's not too bad, boom, slipped away again. And there's the proof. So, with all the concentration in the world, I'm going to walk along this. It's about a foot wide, which ordinarily you kind of run up something like this. If this was on the flats and someone said there's some cones, just run up between those cones a foot wide, you would you just do it. Now, whoosh, you hear, I can hear an aeroplane behind. Everything's heightened, all my alert, all my senses. Oh, and the fact there's a bush coming is not at all in the plan. Oh dear. There's an aeroplane about to take off. Now, one thing about bushes here in the UAE, there are no beautiful soft ones. That's solid as a rock. If I step on it, the whole thing is going to move across. Oh, Mr. Curzon, Mr. Foley, my PE teachers, why didn't I listen to you in gym class? Why did I just mess around all the time? Whew. Well done. Ooh, and a little shimmy there, little thing. So I'm going to stop the recording now for several reasons, because there's not much battery left.